this interview. If you could just say your name and where you're from originally.
My name is Arianny and I'm from Venezuela.
All right, thank you. And how long have you been in the United States?
I've lived here for about 1 year and a half.
Okay. Did you move directly to Wichita, or?
I first went to New York State, Elmira College, which is a small town in New York, and it took me about 6 months to then transfer to Wichita State University.
If you could just speak a little bit to why you decided to come to the United States, just maybe a little story, maybe part of part of the things that happened on your trip or whatnot, just a little background information.
All right. Well, at the beginning, my dad got me into learning English because he thought it was important for me, and I thought so as well. So he first sent me to Canada, Montreal, Canada, where I studied, and then I went back to Venezuela, and the economic and political situation wasn't the best over there. So even though things were happening over there, I started university and started studying medicine, and things just didn't go well over there because in public universities there's a lot of trouble with crime, and sometimes there are strikes, so you lose a lot of classes, and you pretty much take more years to graduate than you will take normally. Because the situation wasn't the best for me, then my dad talked to me about it, and he said that I needed to realize that living in Venezuela wasn't really the best for me. At the time I was involved with someone, I had a boyfriend, and so that was something that kind of kept me over there. But once the relationship was over, I realized that it was a mistake for me to be there, because I knew there were better things in other countries because I had traveled before. And so I decided to apply to different universities, and through a institution over there in Venezuela, I found different scholarships in different universities over here, and the best one was offered in Elmira College, New York, as I said. Yeah. Then the whole visa process started. It's a very difficult process to go through. They don't give it to everyone. And finally, December 31st, I remember, I actually went to Caracas, Venezuela, which is the capital in Venezuela, and it took me about at least 12 hours in the embassy, and at the end of the day they gave me the visa that authorized me to come here to the United States for about 5 years. Okay. To do my college undergrad. And a few days after that, in January of 2010, I came to the United States.
Okay. So was this an easy decision after a certain point, or is it still kind of something that you still kind of wrestle with moving here?
Well, at the beginning, it was, as I mentioned before, I had this relationship, and so for me, I was so attached to it that it didn't really matter. Like, I really wanted to stay in Venezuela, and once after was done, I had really nothing that attached me anymore there. I do have my family and everything, but I have never been this. I do care about them. I'm more of a individualistic person. I'm more independent than my brothers are, and I like going to different countries and learning new things. And so up until that point, it wasn't that difficult until I learned that the major that I want to study, medicine, if I study in a different country, I can't go back to Venezuela to practice it. So that basically meant I am never going back to my country to actually practice what I'm studying. Okay. Which means there is no point on going back, and I can't establish really a life in there anymore. So, but I didn't know that once I left the country. I learned that when I was here, which kind of struck me a little bit, but I mean, I was here already, I'm here, and there is no going back to whatever I was.
Okay.
So.
Okay. What would you say was there a worry that you had in particular when you were coming to this country, when you first got here, was there something you worried about more than anything?
I will say that I was worried about adapting in the sense that we, at least thought, and I do keep thinking the same, that people are a little bit more like colder here than they will be in Venezuela. We have a very different culture, and so adapting to the rules, there are many rules here as well. In Venezuela, everything is pretty much chaos right now, and you don't really have to follow these strict rules. And coming here meant having to follow a very strict pattern, and trying to make friends that maybe if I give them a kiss in the cheek, they will think something else, and I meant really just being friends, and that actually happened to me, and I had to clarify it to people, and then people will come up to me, or some people will say, because people gossip, that it's too given and very touchy feeling kind of thing, because I will say, hi, how are you, give a kiss in the cheek or maybe a hug, and in here that kind of means something different, and I was so used to that it was difficult for me to cope with it. And then if people, sometimes hear people, they just pass by you and they don't say hi, and that is so impolite to me, at least for my culture. Over there, we always say hi. We always give a kiss in the cheek. It doesn't matter if you're upset or not. It doesn't matter whatever you're going through at that point. It's always something polite to do. But here, no one really cares about it. At least that's the way I see it.
Sure.
Or the people that I know, that's the way they treat me most of the time.
Sure. So that level of adaptation was a concern, I guess, at that point. So.
And money as well.
Sure.